Do you know why Xiao Yan wanted to save a stranger girl? Unexpectedly, the girl's aura was especially similar to that of little Dr. Fairy. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Continuing from the previous part, seeing the three great experts of Xuanling Hall strike at the same time, their auras surging and intertwining to seal off every possible escape, Xiao Yan merely let out a soft sigh. There was no trace of panic on his face, only a hint of helpless amusement. Then the corners of his lips slowly lifted into a fearless grin. In the next instant, dazzling flames burst forth behind him. A pair of magnificent flame wings unfurled with a thunderous roar forged from layered, resplendent fire of multiple colors. They expanded wildly, growing larger and larger until they seemed capable of blotting out the sky itself. The blazing wings stretched across the heavens, their radiance reflecting in the horrified eyes of the crowd below. With a single flap, the scorching air currents distorted space, and Xiao Yan's figure rose into the sky, directly blocking the retreat of Venerable Hai Yuan and the third elder of Xuanling Hall. At the same time, an overwhelming aura erupted from his body like a dormant dragon awakening. It spread in all directions at an astonishing speed. The mountains trembled. The forest bent low. Even the clouds high above were torn apart by the pressure of that boundless spiritual energy. When the white-robed elder sensed that aura, his pupils shrank violently. The blood drained from his face in an instant. That pressure, that suppression, that absolute dominance over heaven and earth, Earth's supreme expert. His voice cracked as he spoke, disbelief and terror intertwined. Impossible. How could this young man, who moments ago seemed ordinary and unthreatening, be a true Earth Supreme? Not a half-step, not a peak ninth-grade Supreme, but a genuine Earth Supreme standing at the apex. The realization struck like lightning. Hai Yuan retreat. The white-robed elder's furious roar shattered the stunned silence. Without hesitation, Venerable Hai Yuan and the third elder immediately withdrew behind him, their previous arrogance gone without a trace. Their gazes locked onto Xiao Yan, filled with shock and dread. They had never imagined that Xiao Yan's strength would be this terrifying. This level of pressure. It was already comparable to the Hall Master of Xuanling Hall. Yet Xiao Yan only smiled faintly. "Take one of my moves before you leave." His tone was calm, almost casual, but beneath that calmness lay a cold sharpness. What he despised most were those who relied on their power to bully the weak, strutting arrogantly as though the world belonged to them. If they wished to leave, they would first have to pay a price. As his cold laughter echoed across the sky, the flames between heaven and earth suddenly responded. Fire surged from every direction, spiraling upward like dragons ascending to the heavens. The sky turned crimson. The air ignited. Even spiritual energy itself seemed to combust under his will. Within a few breaths, countless streams of flame condensed high above. Then, before the horrified eyes of all present, a 12-colored fire lotus slowly took shape. Each petal shimmered with a different hue, representing terrifyingly pure and violent power. The lotus rotated slowly, yet every turn caused space to crack and collapse around it. Waves of destructive energy rippled outward, distorting the horizon. The world seemed to fall silent. The moment the Buddha's wrath flame lotus appeared, the expressions of the three from Xuanling Hall changed drastically. Without another word, Xiao Yan raised his hand and pointed forward, directly at them. Seeing this, the white-robed elder and the other two felt their scalps go numb, as if an invisible hand had gripped their hearts. The 12-colored Buddha's wrath flame lotus rotated slowly in the sky, yet the destructive fluctuations radiating from it made their souls tremble. "Quick, unleash your great divine abilities." The white-robed elder roared hoarsely, then used the supreme law bodies to block it. At this point, there was no room for hesitation. Facing such terrifying power, relying solely on their offensive strength, was nothing more than courting death. If they did not go all out, they would not even have the chance to retreat. Suppressing Heaven Great Seal, Venerable Xiao Yan thrust both palms forward as a colossal black seal condensed in the sky, thunder crackling across its surface. Wu Yuan Ut, the third elder, formed rapid hand seals, and a vast expanse of chaotic energy surged outward, swallowing spiritual energy in its path. Mysterious dragon technique. A deafening dragon's roar erupted as a massive energy dragon coiled through the air, baring its fangs as it charged toward the fire lotus. 3 terrifying great divine abilities tore through the sky simultaneously, their combined might enough to flatten mountains and shatter seas. And then they collided with the 12-colored fire lotus. Boom! The heavens trembled violently. Space shattered like fragile glass. Yet in the very next instant, under the disbelieving gazes of the 3 experts, their 3 great divine abilities were instantly crushed. The massive black seal exploded into fragments of thunder. The chaotic energy was incinerated into nothingness. The roaring dragon let out a final wail before being torn apart by multicolored flames. As for the 12-colored fire lotus, it merely dimmed slightly, only slightly. Then it pierced through the collapsing void and continued surging forward unstoppable. Bastard! Seeing that their full-powered great divine abilities had only consumed a fraction of the lotus's strength, Venerable Xiao Yan could no longer suppress his fury and fear. His hands formed a rapid seal. Behind him, spiritual energy exploded into the sky, condensing into a gigantic figure thousands of feet tall. Black lightning coiled around its body, like serpents releasing a destructive aura that split the clouds apart. At the same time, the third elder let out a cold snort. The ground beneath trembled as an enormous ancient figure rose behind him, its body covered in weathered cracks like a primordial rock god that had endured countless eras. Just as the 2 completed their summons, the white-robed elder also raised his hand solemnly. A surge of emerald light erupted behind him. From within that radiance emerged a colossal green law body, covered entirely in lush leaves and boundless vitality. Its form resembled a 1,000-foot-tall humanoid tree, its presence radiating endless life force. That is, the young man standing behind Xiao Yan gasped, his voice trembling. The 88th ranked Supreme Law Body, the Black Thunder Law Body, the 86th ranked Mysterious Ancient Rock Body, and the 72nd ranked Life Mysterious Law Body. It said that the Life Mysterious Law Body possesses monstrous vitality. Even severed limbs can regenerate instantly. His eyes were filled with shock as he stared at the 3 towering figures dominating the sky. Among the 99 ranked Supreme Law Bodies, each one was a rare and powerful existence within the great 1,000-world symbols of supreme talent and terrifying foundations. And now, 3 had appeared at once. How could he not be astonished? The sky darkened beneath their shadows. Spiritual energy churned violently, forming massive storms around the 3 law bodies. Supreme law bodies. Xiao Yan looked up at the 3 colossal figures without the slightest ripple in his expression. His tone was calm, almost indifferent. Then, he raised a finger lightly. Use your supreme law bodies to try and block my fire lotus. At this moment, the 12-colored Buddha's wrath flame lotus had already swept across the sky like a falling star of destruction, arriving before the 3 towering supreme law bodies. The instant it approached, heaven and earth lost their color. Terrifying energy erupted outward in concentric shock waves, tearing through everything within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. Mountains collapsed into dust. Forests were reduced to ashes. The land cracked open like a shattered mirror. Sky-filling flames surged like raging tidal waves rolling across the firmament. The surrounding space within tens of thousands of feet twisted violently, folding and collapsing as if unable to withstand the oppressive force. It was as though the end of the world had descended. Standing amidst the chaos, Xiao Yan calmly watched the earth-shaking clash unfold before him. Unexpectedly, the 3 supreme law bodies, combining their strength, truly managed to halt the advance of his 12-colored fire lotus. Black lightning roared, ancient rock energy surged. Boundless green vitality poured forth like an endless river. Together they formed a colossal barrier that forcefully blocked the destructive lotus in mid-air. Of course, this fire lotus had only been casually cast by him. His gaze slowly shifted. It settled upon the green beam of light charging at the forefront, the core force resisting the lotus's destructive power. Within that emerald radiance, he sensed a familiar fluctuation, a rhythm he knew all too well. The power of life. A low murmur escaped Xiao Yan's lips. At the same time, a faint, meaningful smile curved at the corner of his mouth. If they wished to contend with him using vitality, then they had chosen the wrong opponent. At that very moment, upon the surface of the restrained 12-colored fire lotus, one of its green lotus petals suddenly bloomed with dazzling brilliance. Its radiance intensified far brighter than before. Then, under countless stunned gazes, the green lotus petal detached from the main body. It twisted and elongated mid-air, transforming into a vine woven entirely from green flames. The vine lashed outward with astonishing speed and coiled tightly around the green beam of light projected by the mysterious law body. And then it began to grow, wildly, madly. In just a few breaths, the flaming vine expanded at an exponential rate, spreading across the entire green beam like a parasitic force. The originally pure life energy began to flicker, its brilliance rapidly weakening under the devouring flames. This green flame was ranked 4th on the heavenly flame ranking of the Do-Chi continent. The green lotus core flame, a heavenly flame born from the heart of the earth possessing terrifying vitality and endless growth. What? The white-robed elder's expression changed drastically, his heart trembling violently. He could clearly feel it. The life force of the mysterious law body was being suppressed, consumed, overpowered. But before he could make any countermeasure, crack, a sharp shattering sound echoed across the sky. The entire green beam of light collapsed and exploded into countless fragments of spiritual energy. Freed from resistance, the green lotus core flame surged forward, its form expanding into a colossal flaming vine that pierced straight through the void. Like a spear of emerald destruction, it slammed directly into the enormous eye located at the chest of the mysterious law body. Under the stunned and horrified gazes of the three, the sky-filling flames surged forward like a tidal wave of destruction, instantly engulfing the enormous eye at the chest of the mysterious law body. The emerald radiance that once symbolized boundless vitality began to melt at a visible speed. Hiss, the sound of burning and erosion echoed across the heavens. In just a few breaths, the massive eye, thousands of feet wide, was completely corroded by the green lotus core flame. The overwhelming life force collapsed, and what remained was a gaping charred hole nearly 100 feet across, pierced straight through the chest of the supreme law body. The mysterious law body trembled violently. Its towering figure flickered as cracks spread across its surface like spider webs. Peiyu, the white-robed elder's face turned deathly pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura plummeted instantly. Although the mysterious law body possessed astonishing regenerative abilities, capable of restoring severed limbs and repairing massive damage, the eye was its core. It was the source through which its life force circulated and manifested. Now that Xiao Yan had destroyed it with absolute precision, the backlash was unavoidable. His spiritual energy went into chaos, his internal organs trembling under the shock. Even maintaining the law body became difficult. Without the support of the mysterious law body, the balance was broken. The Black Thunder law body and the mysterious ancient rock body, already straining under the pressure of the 12-colored Buddha's wrath flame lotus, instantly felt the terrifying destructive force multiply. Black lightning shattered, ancient rock cracked apart. The lotus, no longer restrained, spun once, and then it detonated. Boom! A blinding explosion erupted between heaven and earth. The 12-colored flames burst outward in every direction, swallowing the sky and devouring the land. The shockwave tore through space itself, collapsing layers of void and reducing everything in its path to nothingness. The three figures from Xuanling Hall were instantly engulfed, their supreme law bodies shattered under the explosion, dissolving into fragments of light before disappearing entirely. Like broken leaves caught in a hurricane, the three were blasted tens of thousands of feet away, blood spraying through the air as their bodies tumbled helplessly across the sky. Bastard! Venerable He Yuan's furious roar was filled with unwillingness and fear. Run! The white-robed elder's voice was hoarse and panicked. Having been flung tens of thousands of feet away and suffering severe internal injuries, the three finally understood one undeniable truth. They were not Xiao Yan's opponents, not even close. Suppressing the turmoil within their bodies and enduring the searing pain from the explosion, they no longer dared to hesitate. With their remaining spiritual energy, they turned into streaks of light and fled toward the distant horizon as fast as they could. Their previous arrogance had completely vanished. All that remained was fear. Seeing the three fleeing figures disappear into the distant horizon, Xiao Yan slowly let out a long breath. The violent flames around him gradually subsided, and the distorted space began to repair itself. He had no intention of pursuing them. To him, those three were nothing more than passing ants. His purpose in making a move had only ever been twofold. First, to defeat them completely. Second, to intimidate them. To make them understand the gap. To ensure they would not dare return with reinforcements or attempt revenge. Sometimes crushing someone utterly was far more effective than killing them. Behind him, the few young people stood frozen in place, their minds still echoing with the apocalyptic explosion they had just witnessed. With a single move, just one casually cast Buddha's wrath flame lotus, he had obliterated the three top combat forces of Xuanling Hall. Earth Supreme. That was a realm they could barely comprehend. This man was simply too terrifying. At the same time, the dazzling flame wings behind Xiao Yan slowly folded inward before dissolving into sparks of light. The overwhelming pressure that had blanketed the heavens faded away as though it had never existed. He turned around. His gaze fell upon the timid girl being supported in the youth's arms. Unlike the others who looked at him with awe and fear, his eyes toward her carried something different: interest, curiosity, and a trace of contemplation. This was an endless forest stretching beyond the limits of sight. As night descended, darkness gradually swallowed the mountains. The only source of light came from a flickering campfire deep within the woods. 6 figures sat around the flames. One of them was Xiao Yan. The other 5 were the 3 young men and 1 woman he had saved earlier, along with the quiet, timid girl whose presence had drawn the disaster upon them. The reason Xiao Yan had intervened was not out of simple heroism. The moment he sensed the girl's aura, he had detected a strange fluctuation from her body. It was faint, subtle, but extremely familiar. That fluctuation was related to poison. The girl felt like another version of little Dr. Fairy. However, the poisonous aura he sensed within this timid girl was far more terrifying than the woeful poison body of little Dr. Fairy. It was purer, denser, more violent. This poisonous power was so intense that even 7th or 8th grade supreme experts would instinctively avoid it. If such poison existed in the Do-Chi continent, even ordinary Do-Di experts would not dare approach her lightly. And yet, at present the poison within her seemed to be sealed by some mysterious force. Its aura did not leak outward. Its destructive nature was suppressed deep within her body, like a sleeping beast chained in darkness. That was precisely what intrigued Xiao Yan. Regarding your earlier assistance, one of the young men finally spoke, standing up respectfully. We represent the Yuan sect in offering our sincere thanks, Your Excellency. His tone was filled with gratitude and caution. They now understood that the person before them was an Earth Supreme, someone they could not afford to offend. Xiao Yan waved his hand lightly. I was merely passing by. It was just a casual action. His voice was calm and unassuming. Besides, I've never liked those who bully others with their strength. After saying that, his gaze returned to the girl. The campfire's light reflected in his dark pupils. Moreover, he added slowly, "I am curious about her physique." A faint smile appeared. "That is the real reason I decided to act."